Let's go back in time. It is 1961. The world is a crazy place. The United States and Russia are angry at each other. People are trying to go to the moon. But in a warm place called Hawaii, a baby is born. His name is Barack Hussein Obama II. His mother is Ann. She is from Kansas. Kansas is in the middle of America. It is full of corn and farms. His father is Barack Obama Sr. He is from Kenya. Kenya is in Africa. It is very far away. How did they meet? They met at a school in Hawaii. They fell in love. They got married. It was very unusual before. People from different places did not always marry. But they did. And they had a baby boy. They called him Barry. Barry was a cute baby. He smiled a lot. But soon there was trouble. His father wanted to study more. He wanted to go to Harvard. That is a very famous school. But Harvard is far away. It is not in Hawaii. So his father left. He went to Harvard. Then he went back to Kenya. Barry was only 2 years old. He did not see his father much after that. This was sad. But his mother was strong. She loved Barry very much. Later, his mother met a new man. His name was Lolo. Lolo was from Indonesia. Indonesia is a country in Asia. It has many islands. Lolo and Ann got married. They said to Barry, "Pack your bags. We are moving." So young Barry moved to Indonesia. It was very different from Hawaii. It was hot. It rained a lot. There were monkeys. Barry played in the streets. He had a pet ape. That is pretty cool. He ate new food. He ate peppers. He ate dog meat once. He learned about a new world. He saw very rich people. He saw very poor people. The poor people had no shoes. They had no food. Barry remembered this. It made him think. But his mother was worried. She said, "Barry needs a good school." The schools in Indonesia were okay, but American schools were better. So she made a hard choice. She sent Barry back to Hawaii. He went to live with his grandparents. He called them Gramps and Toot. They loved him very much. Toot worked in a bank. She was smart. Gramps was funny. He liked to tell jokes. Barry went to a big school called Punahou. It was a fancy school. Rich kids went there. Barry was not rich, but he was smart. At school, Barry felt different. He looked in the mirror. He had dark skin, but his family had light skin. His grandparents were white. His mom was white. He was black. He felt confused. He thought, "Who am I? Where do I fit in?" The other kids asked questions. They touched his hair. It was annoying. Barry tried to be cool. He played basketball. He loved basketball. He was pretty good. His friends called him Barry Obama because he took big shots. He liked to hang out with friends. He liked to go to the beach. He was a normal teenager. He made mistakes. He did not always study. Sometimes he was lazy. Then he finished high school. It was time for college. He went to a school in Los Angeles. It was sunny. He had fun. But he wanted more. He wanted to be serious. So he moved to New York City. He went to Columbia University. New York is big. It is loud. It is cold in the winter. Barry lived in a small apartment. Sometimes he had no heat. He had to sleep in a sleeping bag. It was not comfortable. But he read many books. He read about history. He read about politics. He stopped calling himself Barry. He used his real name, Barack. He wanted to be a serious man. After college, he needed a job. He could work in a bank. He could make a lot of money. "Do you want money?" people asked. Barack said, "No thanks." He wanted to help people. He moved to Chicago. Chicago is a big city. It has a lot of wind. They call it the Windy City. He became a community organizer. What is that? It is a hard job. Steel mills were closing. People lost their jobs. They were sad. They were angry. Barack talked to them. He said, "Let's work together. Let's fix the schools. Let's clean the streets." It was very hard work. Sometimes people slammed doors in his face. "Go away," they said. "Who are you?" they asked. He was young. He was skinny. He looked like a kid. But he did not give up. He listened to people. He went to church with them. He learned that change takes time. It is slow, but it is possible. He worked there for 3 years. He learned a lot about people, but he wanted to do more. He needed to understand the law. So he went back to school again. This time, he went to Harvard Law School. Remember Harvard? His dad went there. Now Barack was there. He was older now. He was very focused. He studied all day. He studied all night. He was very popular. The other students liked him. They voted for him. He became the president of the Law Review. This was a big deal. He was the first black person to do this. People wrote news stories about him. They said, "Watch this guy. He is going places." During the summer, he went back to Chicago. He worked at a law firm. He needed a mentor. A mentor is like a teacher. His mentor was a woman. Her name was Michelle Robinson. She was tall. She was smart. She was beautiful. Barack looked at her. He thought, "Wow." He asked her out. He said, "Let's go to a movie." Michelle said, "No, I am your boss." That is weird. Barack asked again. "Come on, just one date." Michelle said, "No." Barack did not give up. He was persistent. Finally, Michelle said, "Okay, one date. But don't make me look bad." They went to get ice cream. They went to a museum. They saw a movie. It was a good date. Michelle liked him. He was funny. He was kind. But he wore goofy shoes. She fixed his style. They fell in love. A few years later, they got married. It was a happy day. Barack was very happy. He had a wife. He had a job. He was a lawyer. He wrote a book about his father. It was called Dreams from My Father. It was a good book. But not many people bought it. Not yet. Barack wanted to be in politics. He wanted to change laws. He ran for the state senate in Illinois. He talked to voters. He shook hands. He won. He was a senator for Illinois. He drove to the capital city. He made laws about health. He made laws about police. He worked with everyone. He played poker with other politicians. They liked him. He was a nice guy. But Barack wanted to do more. He was ambitious. In the year 2000, he tried to get a bigger job. He ran for the U.S. Congress. He ran against a man named Bobby Rush. Bobby Rush was famous. He was a Black Panther. Everyone knew Bobby. Nobody knew Barack. People said, "Barack who? That is a funny name." Barack lost. He lost really bad. It was embarrassing. He was sad. He had no money. His credit card did not work. Michelle was not happy. She said, "We have a family. We need money." They had a baby daughter now. Her name was Malia. Later, they had another girl. Her name was Sasha. Barack had to think. Was he good at politics? Maybe he should quit. But he did not quit. He tried one more time. In 2004, he ran for the U.S. Senate. This is a very big job. He campaigned hard. He traveled all over Illinois. He ate a lot of food at fairs. He talked to farmers. He talked to teachers. Then something amazing happened. The Democrats had a big meeting. It was a convention. They needed someone to give a speech. A big speech. They picked Barack. People were surprised. "Why him?" they asked. "He is just a state senator." But Barack was ready. He stood on the stage. He looked at the cameras. He told his story. He talked about his dad from Kenya. He talked about his mom from Kansas. He said, "There is not a black America and a white America. There is the United States of America." The crowd cheered. They stood up. They clapped. TV people said, "Who is that?" "He is amazing." In one night, Barack became famous. Everybody knew his name. He won the election for the Senate. He won by a lot. Now he was a U.S. Senator. He moved to Washington, D.C. He worked in the Senate for a few years, but people wanted more. They said, "You should be president." Barack said, "No, I am new. I need time." But the people kept asking. The country was in trouble. There was a war in Iraq. The economy was bad. People wanted something new. Barack talked to Michelle. Michelle said, "I don't know. It is dangerous. It is hard." But finally she said, "Yes." It was a cold day in 2007. Barack stood outside in Illinois. He wore a coat. He said, "I am running for president." The race was on. But he had a big problem. Her name was Hillary Clinton. Hillary was very famous. She was smart. She was strong. Everyone thought she would win. She had money. She had friends. Barack had hope. And he had a slogan: "Yes, we can." He went to Iowa. Iowa is a state with lots of corn. It is the first state to vote. Barack talked to everyone. He went to small towns. He stood on boxes. He shouted, "Fired up!" The people shouted, "Ready to go!" It was exciting. Young people liked him. They made posters. The poster said, "Hope." It had his face on it. It was cool. On voting day in Iowa, Barack won. It was a shock. Hillary was surprised. The world was surprised. A black man won in a white state? The race went on for a long time. Barack and Hillary fought. Not with fists, with words. They had debates. "I have a plan," said Hillary. "I have a vision," said Barack. It was very close. But Barack won more votes. He became the leader for the Democrats. Now he had to fight the Republicans. Their guy was John McCain. John McCain was a hero. He was a soldier in the war. He was older. Barack was young. It was a crazy year. The banks in America crashed. People lost money. Houses were lost. People were scared. Barack was calm. He said, "We can fix this." He looked like a leader. He spoke well on TV. John McCain was angry. He made mistakes. On Election Day in November 2008, people waited in line. Long lines. They waited for hours. They wanted to vote. Night came. The votes were counted. Ohio went to Barack. Florida went to Barack. Then the news came. Barack Obama is the president. People cried. They cried happy tears. Old people cried. They never thought they would see a black president. In Chicago, there was a big park. Thousands of people were there. Barack walked out. He waved. Michelle was there. The kids were there. He said, "Change has come to America." It was a historic moment. In January 2009, he moved into the White House. It is a big house. It has 132 rooms. But it was not a vacation. He had a lot of work. The country was losing jobs. Every day, thousands of jobs were gone. Banks were failing. The car companies were failing. General Motors and Chrysler said, "Help us. We have no money." Barack had to decide. Some people said, "Let them fail." Barack said, "No. Too many jobs will be lost." He gave them money. The government bought the companies for a little while. It was risky. People were angry. But it worked. The car companies were saved. He also wanted to fix health care. In America, doctors are expensive. If you get sick, you pay a lot of money. Many people had no insurance. Barack said, "This is not right." He wanted a new law. He called it the Affordable Care Act. People called it Obamacare. It was a big fight. The Republicans said, "No way! It costs too much." They fought in Congress. They yelled. They argued. It took a long time. But Barack did not quit. He signed the law. Now, millions of people could see a doctor. It was his biggest win. But not everyone was happy. A group called the Tea Party started. They did not like Barack. They said he was spending too much money. They protested. They wore funny hats. Politics became mean. People shouted at each other. Barack tried to be nice. He tried to tell jokes. But it was hard. His hair started to turn gray. Being president is stressful. He also had to deal with wars. America was fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. Barack promised to end the wars. He brought many soldiers home. But there was a bad man named Osama bin Laden. He attacked America a long time ago. Nobody could find him. He was hiding. Barack told his spies, "Find him." They looked for years. Finally, they found a house in Pakistan. They thought he was there. Barack had to make a choice. Should he send soldiers? It was dangerous. If they missed, it would be bad. Barack sat in a room. He looked at his generals. He said, "Go." The soldiers went in. It was night. They flew in helicopters. They found bin Laden. They got him. Barack watched on a screen. He was nervous. When it was over, he said, "We got him." The country was happy. In 2012, it was time to vote again. Another election. This time he ran against Mitt Romney. Mitt was a rich businessman. He said, "I can fix the economy better." The race was close. The economy was still slow. People were tired. But Barack was a good campaigner. He talked to people. He reminded them of the good things. We saved the cause. We got bin Laden. We have health care. The people believed him. He won again. He got 4 more years. In his second term, things were different. The Republicans controlled Congress. They said no to everything. Barack, "I want to build roads." Congress, no. Barack, "I want to fix schools." Congress, no. Barack, "I want a sandwich." Congress, no sandwich for you. It was a big problem. He could not pass new laws, so he used his pen. He signed orders. He tried to protect the nature. He tried to stop climate change. He said, "The planet is getting hot. We must stop it." He talked to China. He talked to Europe. They made a big agreement in Paris. They promised to pollute less. He also did something surprising. He talked to Cuba. Cuba is an island near Florida. America and Cuba did not talk for 50 years. They were enemies. Barack said, "This is silly. Let's be friends." He went to Cuba. He shook hands. He watched a baseball game. It was a big change. But the world was still dangerous. A new group of bad guys appeared. They were called ISIS. They were in the Middle East. They were very cruel. Barack had to send planes to bomb them. He did not want to start a new war, but he had to stop them. It was a hard balance. There was also sadness at home. There were shootings. Crazy people with guns hurt innocent people. They hurt children in a school called Sandy Hook. Barack cried on TV. He was very sad. He wanted to stop the guns. He tried to make new laws. But Congress said no again. This made him very angry. He said it was the worst day of his presidency. Barack was also a dad. His daughters grew up in the White House. They were little girls when they came. Now they were teenagers. They went to school. They went to dances. Barack and Michelle tried to be normal parents. They ate dinner together at 6:30. Barack helped with homework. He asked about their day. They got a dog, a Portuguese water dog. His name was Bo. Later, they got another one named Sunny. The dogs were famous. They ran in the garden. Michelle was busy too. She planted a garden. She grew vegetables, carrots, lettuce, tomatoes. She told kids, "Eat your vegetables. Move your body." She wanted kids to be healthy. She danced on TV. She was a fun first lady. People loved her. Sometimes they liked her more than Barack. Barack said, "That makes sense. I like her more too." The years went by fast. Barack's hair was now very white. He had more wrinkles. He was tired, but he was proud. People had judgment. The soldiers were coming home. Gay people could get married. That was a new law, too. The White House was lit up with rainbow colors. It was a happy night. In 2016, his time was up. You can only be president for 8 years. It is the rule. He had to pack his boxes. He had to say goodbye. The staff cried. He waved goodbye to the big airplane. A new man, Donald Trump, took over. He was very different from Barack. But that is democracy. The people choose. Barack and Michelle went on a vacation. They went to an island. Barack learned to kite surf. He looked happy. He wore his hat backward. He was not the boss anymore. He could sleep late. He could relax. But he did not disappear. He wrote a book. A very big book. It is called A Promised Land. Millions of people bought it. He and Michelle started a company. They make movies for Netflix. They make podcasts. They built a foundation to help young leaders. Barack Obama started as a boy with a funny name. He lived in many places. He felt like an outsider. He worked hard. He helped people in Chicago. He made history. He showed the world that anything is possible. He used to say, "Yes, we can." And he did. Now he is an old man. Well, not that old. But he is a part of history. He lives in Washington, D.C. He still plays golf. He still talks to people. And he still believes in hope. That is the story of the 44th president. From a small island in Hawaii to the biggest house in America. It was quite a journey. And he did it all with a smile.